It was a Saturday night in November. I was alone in my apartment when I heard a weak knock at the door. Not the usual confident rap. Something softer, almost desperate. When I opened it, my twin brother Carlos stood there. His face was bruised, purple and yellow. His lip was split open. Dried blood stained his shirt collar. He looked at me with hollow eyes and whispered, "They did it again, Marcus. I cannot take it anymore." Again. That single word changed everything. Who had been hurting my brother, and why did I not know? Before I tell you what we did next, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. If stories about standing up for family hit close to home, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, because what my brother and I pulled off changed everything. But first, let me take you back to how this nightmare began. Carlos and I came into this world together 7 minutes apart in Phoenix, Arizona, identical in every way. Same dark hair, same brown eyes, same crooked smile that our mother said could charm anyone. Our parents divorced when we were 10 years old, and from that day forward, we only had each other. Carlos was always the gentler one, the kid who avoided fights, the one who would rather talk his way out of trouble than throw a punch. Me, I was the opposite. Hot-tempered, quick to defend, especially when it came to my brother. We used to play this game growing up, switching places to fool our teachers, our friends, even our own mother sometimes. I remember one time in 8th grade, Carlos got sick right before a big math test. He had studied for weeks. I had not opened the textbook once, but I walked into that classroom as Carlos took that test and somehow pulled off a B-. Nobody ever knew. That was our secret superpower. 2 faces, 1 bond. After high school, our paths split. I enlisted in the Marines. 8 years of service. Deployments overseas. Learning how to fight, how to survive, how to protect. Carlos went to college. Studied accounting. Got a nice office job with a steady paycheck. He was never the warrior type, and that was fine. The world needs gentle souls, too. When I got out of the military, I settled in San Diego. Found work as a welder at a shipyard. Good pay, honest labor. Carlos was up in Sacramento by then. We talked on the phone maybe once a month, sometimes less. Life gets busy. You tell yourself you will call tomorrow. Tomorrow turns into next week. Next week turns into next month. I should have called more. I should have visited. Maybe then I would have seen the signs earlier. 3 years ago, Carlos met a woman named Diana at an accounting conference in Los Angeles. He called me that night, voice full of wonder, talking about how beautiful she was, how smart, how she laughed at all his jokes. 8 months later, they were engaged. I flew up for the wedding. Stood beside my brother as his best man. That was the first time I met her family. Victor, the oldest brother, 38 years old. Built like a linebacker. Worked construction. When he shook my hand, he squeezed way too hard. Like he was testing me. Derek, the middle one. 34. Slick smile that never reached his eyes. He asked Carlos how much money he made within the first 5 minutes of meeting him. And Raymond, the youngest, at 27. Quiet, but always had his phone out. Recording everything. I did not like any of them. I pulled Carlos aside at the reception. Told him something felt off about those guys. He just laughed and said they were protective of their sister, that they would warm up eventually. I wanted to believe him, so I let it go. I told myself my brother was a grown man. He could make his own choices. That was my first mistake. After the wedding, Carlos and Diana moved to Sacramento, closer to her family. The phone calls between us became shorter, less frequent. Every time I asked how things were going, Carlos would say, "Everything is fine." His voice flat, distant. I told myself he was just busy with married life. Adjusting. I had no idea what was really happening behind closed doors. That November night when Carlos showed up at my apartment, looking like he had been through a war zone, the truth came pouring out. I sat him down on my couch. Got ice for his swollen eye. Noticed the bruises were not just on his face. They covered his ribs, his arms. Some were fresh, others were faded yellow and green. Old wounds layered under new ones. This had been going on for a long time. "Tell me everything," I said. Carlos stared at the floor. His hands trembled. It started 6 months after the wedding. Small things at first. Victor and Derek would make comments at family dinners, calling Carlos a pushover, a weakling, saying Diana could have done better. Carlos tried to laugh it off, tried to be the bigger person. Diana never defended him. Sometimes she even joined in the jokes. Then came the demands for money. Victor needed $2,000 for truck repairs. Derek wanted a loan for some business idea. Carlos gave them what he could, but it was never enough. And when he finally said no to Victor one night after dinner, everything changed. Victor punched him in the stomach. Derek held him from behind so he could not fight back. Diana was inside the house. She heard it happen. When Carlos stumbled back and clutching his gut, she looked at him and said, "You probably provoked them." That was the first time, but not the last. Over the next year, it became a pattern. Every time Carlos did not meet their demands, or somehow disrespected them in their eyes, Victor and Derek would corner him. Raymond started filming the beatings. They told Carlos if he ever went to the police or tried to leave Diana, they would release the videos. But they had edited them, cut them to make it look like Carlos was the aggressor, like he attacked first and they were just defending themselves. Victor had a friend on the Sacramento police force. Diana controlled all their finances. Carlos felt trapped, completely alone. The night he showed up at my door, they had caught him in a parking lot after work. Beat him because he left the office early to attend a coworker's kid's birthday party without asking permission. Permission from his wife's brothers. My blood boiled just hearing those words. "Why did you not tell me sooner?" I asked. Carlos finally looked up, tears streaming down his bruised face. "I was ashamed," he whispered. "I am a grown man getting beaten by my wife's brothers. Who would believe me?" I grabbed his shoulders, looked him straight in the eyes. "I believe you, and I am going to fix this." That night we stayed up until dawn, talking, planning. I asked Carlos why he had not gone to the police himself. He explained the trap they had built around him. Raymond's edited videos made Carlos look like the attacker. Victor's cop friend could bury any complaint. Diana would testify against her own husband. And even if charges were filed, it would be Carlos's word against 3 brothers and a wife. He had no money for a lawyer. Diana controlled every bank account, every credit card. He was financially imprisoned. I ran through options in my head. Go to the San Diego police. They had no jurisdiction in Sacramento. Hire a private investigator. With what money confront Victor and his brothers directly, 3 against 1. Even with my military training, I could end up in the hospital. Or worse, in handcuffs for assault. Then I looked at my brother. Really looked at him. Same face as mine. Same build. Same everything. "Remember when we used to switch places?" I asked. Carlos blinked. "What are you thinking? If I go up there as you, they will treat me like they treat you. They will try to hurt me. But this time the person they are swinging at will know how to fight back. And I will have proof. Real proof. Not edited garbage." Carlos shook his head immediately. "No. It is too dangerous. What if they find out? What if you get hurt? I spent 8 years in the Marines, Carlos. I have faced worse than 3 bullies who only know how to hit people who do not fight back. But they have been hurting you for a year. A year. And nobody stopped them because nobody knew. This ends now." It took hours of convincing. Carlos kept coming up with reasons why it would not work, kept trying to protect me even though he was the one covered in bruises. That is just who he is, always thinking of others. But eventually he agreed. We both knew there was no other way. The next 2 weeks were the most intense preparation of my life. First, I had to become Carlos. Not just look like him. Be him. Carlos told me everything about his daily routine. His job at a construction supply company. His boss, Mr. Henderson. His one work friend, Patrick. How he always arrived 15 minutes early. Ate lunch at his desk. Never complained about anything. Then came the family details. Victor liked to be called Vic. Derek went by D. Raymond was Ray. Diana expected compliments on her cooking and hated being contradicted. I memorized names, habits inside, jokes, old arguments. Carlos quizzed me for hours until I could answer without hesitation. The hardest part was learning how to move like him. Carlos walked differently than me. Shoulders slightly hunched, steps lighter. He avoided eye contact when someone challenged him. Said things like, "I guess," and "maybe you are right," even when he disagreed. I practiced in front of the mirror until my brother could not tell which reflection was which. For equipment, I ordered a button camera online. Tiny thing that looked just like a normal shirt button. A voice recorder small enough to fit in a wallet. And I set up my phone to live stream directly to cloud storage. If they took my phone, the footage would already be saved somewhere they could not touch. The plan was simple. I would go to Sacramento on Friday, attend the weekly family dinner at Victor's house, act differently enough to provoke them. When they attacked, I would defend myself, not attack first. Never attack first. Self-defense only. And the cameras would capture everything. Carlos would stay at my apartment in San Diego. Complete radio silence. If Diana called, I would answer as Carlos. Keep up the illusion. The morning I left, Carlos hugged me tighter than he ever had. "Be careful," he said. "They are dangerous." I smiled. That is exactly what I am counting on. The drive to Sacramento took about 8 hours. I used the time to get into character, reminding myself to stay calm, speak softly, not react with anger when they insulted me, at least not at first. I needed them to make the first move. I arrived at Carlos's apartment that evening. Diana was waiting. She did not greet me with a kiss or even a smile. Just a cold stare. "Where were you? You did not answer my calls for 2 days. "My phone died," I said, keeping my voice even. "Work, retreat." She studied my face for a long moment. I forced myself to look down. Avoid her eyes, just like Carlos would. "Fine," she finally said. "Dinner is almost ready." For the next 3 days I lived my brother's life, and it was hell. Diana treated Carlos like a servant. Constant orders, constant criticism. She checked his phone every night, monitored his spending, controlled when he could leave and when he had to come home. I had to bite my tongue so hard it nearly bled. On Thursday, a text came from Victor. "Family dinner Friday.